Welcome everyone to the Carolina Don Show from the Magnetico Creative Network. I'm Carolina Sin here with Jason the Don. This is our weekly free episode and sneak peek to the extended edition. We drop a show every week, so if you like what you're hearing, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to hear more. And if you really love and want to rock with us, we will drop a link to our Patreon, which will have extras once you become a part of the family, including the extended in-depth edition of this episode. So let's jump right on in and get started. Yeah. Man, we've been on hiatus.
I know it. Feels good to be back in the studio.
Boy, it's your boy Carolina Sin.
Jason the Don.
Man, we got Jen the producer.
Hey.
Producer Jen.
Producer Jen.
It feels good to be back.
It does.
Face to face instead of FaceTime.
Woo.
Man. And we're
we're social distanced.
We're essential. We're
on the other sides of the room from each other.
Yeah, we're keeping social distancing, but we are an essential media outlet. So
we were gonna hiatus through this whole COVID-19 thing, but then
it's just too much.
There was
an
uptick going on, and so we are specifically two things. We're specifically going to talk about whether or not we should open or close, and we have a special guest joining us.
Who we got today?
So we've got Marc from Asphalt Junkies.
Okay.
So Marc, you there with us?
What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Man, how are you doing?
Man, Southern California, that's where our studios are at over here. But we're holding up pretty good, man. Unfortunately for me, I usually can't have my co-host in the studio because of all the social distancing. So he comes in from another location and all that. But hey, it's all good.
Right, and they're not playing in California.
Are they're strict over there?
They taking it. So I think I told Marc before we got in and everything, but my daughter is up in Sacramento. So I lived out there for a while too, and then I got a buddy of mine that is from North Carolina, and a couple buddy they're running the page, the Reopen California Facebook page. They're up above 80,000 members and like 200,000 subscribers, something like that. It's the one with the upside down California flag. But everything, I get in there and I read some things. So just like with anything, there's extremists on all the way to each end of the spectrum, but California is really not playing like as far as
they really
the
being
locking
strict
down
and enforcing,
right? And
it's a real liberal state, so I would have felt like it would have been a little more lax.
You would think that. I think it's, and Marc, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it's been a while since I lived there, but it's liberal by dense population in very specific counties, gotcha. But then the rest of the state is more conservative.
Right. So Marc,
that was my experience.
Right. Give us a pulse of what's going on out there.
So this is what's going on for the majority of the state of California. It's stay at home. Essential personnel can go out and do what they want. You can go to the grocery stores if you need to. You can, emergencies. You can run to your doctor, your food fairy, or whatever. But yeah, they just opened up some beaches like. I would say like Huntington Beach, you can walk on the boardwalk, but you can't like lay a towel down on the beach and sit there. So you can walk around, you can walk on the actual sand as long as you keep moving. But as long as you put your butt down like on a bench or something like that, the cops come by and kind of, hey, you got to keep moving. But other than that, most everything else is locked down. The traffic has picked up, so some people, they're going out and doing things. People here in California, man, they want to get back to work.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm getting a sense of.
And
Traffic pick it up. I've only been driving in Southern California a handful of times, and it's everything that you see in the movies about why people hate it.
Yeah, just locked down. It's gridlock.
It's bad.
I kind of feel like what he's saying is the same thing here.
Right.
I mean, I haven't been out to the beaches, but they did reopen the beach for exercise. The parking lots are closed, so you can't go to the public parking lot at our beaches. But they've opened it up for exercise, recreation type activities. But people are going to break that. Right. And you can't enforce it. Right. You just don't have the manpower.
So I'm going to tell you where I'm at. When it first happened, so also, Marc, I've been fortunate enough. I've been able to work from home from my job. So I'm super blessed in that aspect as far as still being able to receive like a paycheck and normal hours and things of that nature. When it first started, I was like, shut it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm working from home. You know, maybe it was a little selfish of me because I was able to do that. But I'm like, we stay at home we lock down till September if need be.
As long as you're getting a check.
Right, I'm working. So there was no stress on me.
Yeah.
I'm a homebody anyways. Now, having said that, as it's gone on, I'm looking at things and I'm listening to people's perspectives, and especially like those in California. And I'm like, it seems like there's just as many things open as supposedly are closed. It seems like most people are still just going on about their daily life like normal, except for like big, large gathering places.
Right.
And now I am kind of going around where I'm just like, I mean, if we can go to the grocery store and all these other essential places and practice safe measures, like do things differently, why can't we open up more parts of the country and do the same thing?
Yeah.
Mark, how you feel about it?
Well, here's how I look at it. We're all adults here, and I feel there was some talk about opening up like movie theaters and bowling alleys and stuff like that, and they were talking about at some of the restaurants how they're gonna take out some more of the chairs and the tables to have that social distancing. So, for instance, you'll have a table that'll seat maybe 5 or 6, and then they'll take the one out in between and have the other one, so it'll be more than 6 feet. I'm all good with starting the reopening and slowly to see how it goes. But like I said, we're all hopefully responsible adults.
We're not.
We can practice that.
That's the problem, right? That's really the problem for the one.
Right.
Like, if we were actually responsible adults as a whole, like 98% of us,
Right.
this would not even be. We might not would even have had to close things down. We could have just been like, hey, these are the precautions we need to start taking. Everybody act right. But you saw, I mean, we shut things down. People were still having parties and going to the beach. And
well, one big example that I have that came to my mind was we have in our town, we had opened some of the parks and closed down the others.
Right.
Well, the ones that were open were getting so inundated with people that they weren't 6 feet social distancing.
Yeah.
And
it's part of the reason why they reopened the other ones.
Well, they had to close them all down because people weren't social distancing. So for 2 weeks they were open, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
Everybody's flocking.
Nobody's ever wanted to walk around the lake until they were told they couldn't walk around the lake.
And then we have a 3-mile lake that it's beautiful. People
Packed.
have to jog and run and walk, and it's beautiful. But because people weren't acting like responsible adults, they had to shut it down, and people are pissed. Excuse my language, but when you
that was light for her.
Right, that was a lot. I had to replay it in my head. Like, what did she say? I didn't hear anything.
Hey, we got a guess. She's trying to be on our best behavior.
I'm trying.
Sorry about that, Mark. We didn't mean to offend you.
No worries on that. Yeah, so we'll still have some people, like wife and I went to Walmart yesterday, and majority of the people there had their masks on, and you had the few that really either they just didn't care or they're just like, I'm not, I don't believe what's going on, and so on and so forth. So they didn't have their mask on. A lot of places have a sign that says, before you come in, you must have a mask on, or else they won't let you in.
No shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service.
Right.
Yeah. So
right, and unfortunately, I think it's going to be the norm now, because they're saying that for us, sports, no crowds until 2021 and things like that. And I think unfortunately, they're saying that no more handshaking, you're gonna have to, carry a mask with you everywhere you go, this and that. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but I mean, I get it. We don't want to catch whatever's out there.
The world's changing. Imagine if we had taken, like we talked about before, before we went on hiatus, like, were people not washing their hands before? Right. So imagine if we had been taking these precautions normally.
Right.
Like the people who died from the regular influenza. You know what I mean? Like, if we just been acting right the whole time.
Yeah.
So I do want to jump on one hot take about it. There's a majority of people who are just like, hey, it's crippling our economy. Stuff is open. What if it's safe to go to Home Depot? Why can't people who need to work go to work? And then there's the flip side of it, and there's a lot of this in California. I've seen it in a couple other states, but like I said, I'm real tuned in to what's going on in California, where people are like, this is the slippery slope of giving up all of our rights, being told to stay in the house type thing. Are you seeing or hearing a lot of that out there, Mark?
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's what people are talking about. Like, we should be able to freely go wherever we want, and if we want to go to work, we should be able to go to work. But then you've got the elected officials saying, stay home, this and that, and then they're saying, well, that's, you're violating our rights. We should have the freedom to move about and do what we have to do. And like I said, and like you said, we should all be adults. Half of us aren't. We should be able to, I got to make money. I got to pay bills, and I'm sure everybody else has to, just like you guys. And you can social distance at work. I mean, there's ways around it. It's going to cause a little, headache and stuff like that. But, some people back to work that need to go to work.
Yeah. I'm getting to the point where I'm working now. They sent anybody 65 or older home, and I fall in the higher risk category. I don't have a problem with going to work. I got to move differently in my life now.
Yeah,
and that's how everybody
change permanently now.
I'm fine outside of my wife and my kids, staying 6 feet away from everybody the rest of my life. I ain't got no problem with that.
Right.
They don't come near me.
Same.
Like if I see you a friend, what's up? I ain't got to hug you. I ain't got to dap you up. I ain't got to do all that. We know what it is. So I don't, we should have been washing our hands all along. We talked about that. Got to wash your hands. Got to take some precautions. Got to move differently. But the problem there's twofold. One, we don't know who to believe on what's going on.
Because the media's got
the
everything.
Media, the president, the doctors, social media is just too much going on right now. So that's number one. And number two, people don't know what to do to open up. Like where both Jen and I work, we just can't open up. We can't open up May 1st, business as usual. In what we do, there's a lot of policies that got to be put in place. There's got a lot of meetings that are going to have to take place on how we do certain things, how we structure things. So to just say,
but are they not doing that right now? Like, are they not having those discussions? Because like my job's done that.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure they are.
My job is.
But
they have weekly meetings, sometimes 3 and 4. So,
when you when we're not going to talk about our jobs, but in governmental work, things get passed down.
Right.
And you're waiting on, well, what do we do? What are they going to do? What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? And both of our fields have to do with events with large people. Yeah. So there's a lot to it. Even the restaurants, open up the restaurants. Well, like Mark was saying, move tables. And, there's a lot to.
But then you've got the server that's dealing with consistent customers that coming in. And
I think people should be allowed to stay home if they want to.
If someone's asymptomatic and they're just passing it, they're the carrier.
I think there should be a job protection and that's it, right? We just got to figure out the rules. So there's two sides of it. I think there is the coming back and figuring out how we're doing it. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other side, like the people who are, and it's not going to be popular for some of my friends and stuff, the people who are like, oh, they're just taking our rights. Now, California is a little more extreme in that situation as far as, telling people what they can and can't do. I don't think, I'm seeing people like, oh, it's unconstitutional and that. Like, we have different levels of government and people, your local government can institute ordinances and stuff because people are like, they can't arrest you for being in the park. It's unconstitutional. Well, if you got a city ordinance that says you can't be there, they could arrest you. And people, you have Facebook lawyers and stuff. And, I took law classes at school, but
you stayed at a Holiday Inn once?
Yeah. On campus, though. You know what I mean? And so, if there's an ordinance, they could arrest you for violating that ordinance. And people are like, now I'm not saying that you can't fight that down the line, right. But there's people literally saying they're and it is true. Like if you are being falsely arrested, you can buck the system up to the point, and this is what somebody was quoting out of it, up to killing the police officer. And there's people advocating for that stuff over getting arrested at the beach. Yeah. And that's where I'm like Mark said, we just need to be adults about it. Do I think there are things that can happen that can cause slippery slopes? I do. I don't think this is it. Them trying to say stay at home and only go to essential places. This is not them trying to institute martial law. Now, if California came out and was like, you can't leave your house between these hours and this and that, and they had, you know, they brought in the National Guard to help enforce it.
So
like,
they didn't have any kind of curfews or anything in California?
I don't know if they have a curfew. Mark, do y'all have a curfew out there?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Yeah.
So a lot of our police departments and sheriff's departments, they're not, you know, they're not pulling people over and be like, hey, where are you guys going? You know, you're not going to the grocery store. They're not doing that. And that's what people were saying. Like, I'll read these comments on Facebook, like, I got pulled over by the cop and he asked me where I was going and this and that. And that's not going on. I'll tell you this. My wife's a deputy sheriff in a local county out here, Riverside County. And their sheriff said, you know, we're not going to cite people. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. You know, just be responsible. If you got to go to the grocery store, you know, put your mask on, go do what you got to do. Right. Be responsible. Go home.
We're
you know,
adults.
And it's and it's so funny, Mark, because
honor system.
The people who are screaming, like, you know, it's fear that's causing this, and it's the same thing. Like, they're going to the extreme because until they start doing that, Mark, like where they're actually. Because we had a paper that we could print off that showed we were essential for those that had to go back and forth to work for if we did get pulled over.
Right, and ours was our badge.
So I'm like, if we're not even at the point where they checking our papers, you know what I'm saying?
Then
like,
what's the
why are
problem?
you screaming that they're about this a tyrant state? You know what I mean? Like, look, I'm not trying to dismiss people's feelings because your feelings are real. I get it. And you being worried about that is real. I'm just saying, like, calm down. We're not there yet. I'm not saying, and people could get mad and be like, well, this is the first step. You know what? You could be right. But this is usually not the first step. We're not there yet. Like, exercise. Go ahead, Mark.
Right. And what I've been seeing is people will be like, oh, my God, I saw the National Guard. What's going on? You know, why are they here and this and that? And what people don't realize is, you know, the National Guard's here to help us with medical stuff, with building some of these makeshift hospitals that, you know, we can't get the people to. That's what the National Guard does. You know, we have a couple, like we have a Sears that's been closed for probably about 5 or 10 years that they made into a makeshift hospital. The National Guard was there helping to set things up. And people
the conspiracy theorists, they're like, oh, it's a concentration camp in the making.
Exactly. You know, and they would see the National Guard vehicles driving down the road in a convoy, and they're like, oh my God, here comes martial law and this and that. And people were posting that on Facebook, unfortunately, and then they would freak everybody else out.
Yeah. They're the extremes on the other end.
Oh, they're loving it.
Right.
The conspiracy theory.
Oh, man.
Those people
this is all of their
right now.
Right. So they're the extreme on the other end, and that's going to piss a few people off, and I get it, but damn.
But it goes back to we don't know what to believe.
True.
So when you look at the crazy comments about conspiracy theorists, okay.
Yeah, because I'm not a trust my government over everything type of person.
But then now, because there's so much uncertainty, it makes a little sense.
Right. This is the best way that I could describe it. We live hurricanes, and when you get, you know, so many years and them talking up, oh, there's going to be a bad one. It's going to be, oops, it turned. Yeah. I think that we have that complacency in us.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Where
we're built for this.
Take it. Yeah, but
but on the same point of that though, that's what a lot of the extremists play to. They're like, we're all just being complacent. And you don't know that that's what they're doing right now.
I'm not sick. You're not sick. Yeah. I don't know anybody that's sick. So what's the problem?
At the end of the day, my position is I want us to reopen sooner than later. That changed, right? I don't think the government's about to institute martial law and this was just some big plan to try and do something that they're covering up, or I don't feel like they're taking my rights away. It's so funny because a lot of this is a conservative side, and I just find it funny because I've seen some things where they're just like, it's my body, but you don't feel like that about other topics. I mean, that's a whole other show, but it's just funny. The same arguments they're using for not complying, that when liberals use that in other things, that's not an acceptable type to argument, right? So
that pissed me off. Your mask protects me, just like
Jen,
my mask
you have to watch the language.
protects you.
You have to watch the language.
Sorry, that's my last
She's
time.
loose, Mark.
Mark, we're going to mute her. You don't have to listen. You shouldn't be subjected.
It's going to start going beep, 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 beep.
So, Mark, let me give you a take, and I'll let you comment on how I'm looking at this. All right, I feel I'm at the point where we need to open. So the way I'm looking at it, getting through it is, okay, I got to go to work, and I got to move different. I got to make sure that I'm protecting myself and protecting other people in case I'm carrying. Right? But I got to look at it the same way as when I go out and I hit 540 and I come up to 98 at the red light and it's green and I go through it. I look left, make sure there's no car coming because it could kill me.
Well, you better look right, too.
No, because I'm making it right.
Oh, gotcha.
All right. When you come up to a stoplight,
I got to take a left. So I do
you're trusting that the other person in those vehicles are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right, but you still look.
That's a good
Right.
analogy.
We got to be conscious. We got to be more conscious.
You got to
of stuff.
move different. You got to be conscious of what you're doing. But at the same time, every time you leave your house, there's a chance to die.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to move smarter, make better decisions, and be careful.
Yeah.
See,
And that's how I'm
Like I
looking
said,
at it.
I'm all for reopening. I'm not for reopening because I fear that the government's about to come and take my guns and lock me in the house type
I
thing.
don't think we should reopen.
I don't know.
I think it should be baby steps, to be
Well,
quite honest
it's
with
gonna
you.
But that's
be-
what I mean.
I deal with,
and see,
I
and
deal
that's
with the public.
right. And see, that's
a
part of
lot.
it too.
Yeah.
People
lot.
say we should reopen, and there's more. I've never meant let's just reopen and go back to the way we are. I think we need to reopen with the steps in place, like that. I don't think it's going to take us 4 months to figure out how your office or mine can reopen and have better things in place. I feel like that could be a few weeks to a month. So when I say that I think we should reopen, that's what I'm saying. In a few weeks to a month, you know what I'm saying? If the places that are where you're at have implemented what needs to change to try and take care of people, and then I also think that if people want to stay home, there should be some.
It can't be that.
No,
It can't be that because there could be too many people that'll take advantage of that.
See, again, we just can't
What
be
do you-
grown folks.
No, that's
Exactly.
that's it.
What do you think, Mark?
Because Mark, I got an underlying condition that makes me more. I'm diabetic, so I'm more prone, right? So if they put something in, then I could just say, no, I don't feel like going to work. Are y'all going to pay me? See, I'm going to go because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And move different. But you're going to have so many situations where people, no, I'm a high risk. I got to stay home, collect a check.
Yeah.
What you think, Mark?
Mark laughing.
So here's how I look at it. I agree with reopening, but take the steps. So for instance, if you say you have a business and you've got 15 to 25 people that work at your business total, you're going to have to implement, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart. And if you can meet those requirements and if, while you're working, if you can still wear your mask to protect yourself and others, that's fine. Stay 6 feet apart. Bring those smaller businesses back because those are the ones that our counties and our cities rely on a lot is some of the mom and pop stores.
Exactly.
Then gradually start bringing in, your bigger places that have 50 to 100 employees. Once they start meeting those requirements, put up those little plastic shields that I'm, seeing in grocery stores now, things like that. Let the people slowly, gradually come back to work. If you're not comfortable, then stay home. Figure out with your boss what you can do. Maybe you can still work from home.
And I think that's part of it. They're not communicating to the people what the plan is. So if you're just stay at home and we're not telling you when this might change, that's what got people scared that hey, this is a government thing,
Right. The way they're making it sound here in California is everybody must stay home.
Right.
Okay, that's how they're making it sound right now. They're not saying. I mean, they're talking about step one or phase one, is going to be this. Then a month after that, phase two, we're going to reopen. So then certain other things are going to start opening. Then phase three is kind of like everything's going to be back to normal, but maybe with some restrictions here and there. I'm going to, so the last time I worked was March 12th. The company I work for is basically we're an event-based business. So my company relies on sporting events, crowds, things like that.
Yeah, that's
they're talking about no crowds till 2021. So am I going to be out of work till 2021? That's the thing that for me and other people that have businesses like that, that's going to kind of suck for them.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And my heart definitely goes out. And I don't know though. I don't know. Like I definitely I feel horrible, and our economy is going to really take a hit on this, and businesses are going to be going out, and
I don't know how.
I'm torn. I'm like, the flu does so much more than this, I guess. Kills more people.
Number wise.
But why? I don't know. I just feel like I'm throwing a conspiracy theory. Why are they taking so much precaution?
Well, we don't have a way to treat this right now. That's the biggest
I understand
thing.
that, but even with treatment, the flu still kills more people. You know what I mean? But did they ever do this with the flu?
But that's what I mean. They have that you can treat the flu.
But they couldn't when the flu first started.
Like 100 years ago.
I'm just saying, though. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
But so Mark made reference to it, and I've seen this in the stores now. Like you go into a gas station, and they got a chain hanging from the ceiling, and then a piece of plexiglass in front of the cash register. So you got a piece in between you.
Yeah, there's something to prevent like spray.
Yeah. So if I sneeze on, at you, the glass is gonna catch it. Sneeze is still in the damn store. It's still floating in the air. You still can
better
get
precaution.
It's protecting.
Now you're not breathing that in.
So it's everything. All these measures are going to slow it down. It's not necessarily protecting totally.
Oh yeah, people are still going to get sick.
Yeah, you're gonna.
But like you said,
it's moving better.
We got to institute the precautions to just have it.
Well, and the other
lower.
thing too. I'm sorry I interrupted. I just thought like the crowds, no crowds until 2021. I think isn't there supposed to be like a second wave of this that they're predicting or something?
They're saying that it's possible.
So again, that's one of them news reports. Like, is that accurate? It's not, because I hear a bunch of different things too. Like I hear the heat's going to slow it down, and then we're going to get a second wave once it cools off again. So
yeah.
And then here's the other thing. Once we have more tests available, numbers are going to go up. And so one side's going to use that as, hey, it's still horrible. But if we had all those tests available now, we got that.
Yeah, because there's people that had it in November.
Right. I firmly believe that when I was sick in December, that could have been it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mark, in California, is testing available for you guys?
Yes and no. So at first, when it came out, the testing was where you had to show symptoms, and then you had to call and make an appointment to get the test.
Okay.
Now, according to our governor, they're trying to make it available for everybody, but that's still not there yet. You still have to show some symptoms. You still hey doctor, I'm not feeling well, blah blah blah, and then they got to recommend you to a testing facility. But I think they're trying to make it available for everybody, but it's not here yet.
What about for the antibody test?
Yeah, so I'm a big we all are big Joe Rogan fans, and he's testing everybody that comes on the show. It's $200. He tests himself and the guest. $200 has the test results in 30 minutes.
That's the antibody test, right?
Yeah, the antibody test. So then people was going at him like, "How can we got money?" And then he made a statement like, "Hey, I've looked into this. The testing's available. I'm not taking tests away from anybody that needs a test."
Yeah, I didn't think he was taking them from people.
No, but that's how people are going to look at it.
Yeah, well, he's got the money to spend on them.
But it's $200.
Right, I ain't got $200.
You just sent every American $1,200 supposedly.
Yeah,
I know some people that didn't get it, but
I ain't got mine yet.
So you give $1,000 and a voucher for a test.
That's true.
I don't understand if you're telling me.
I think we can all agree that there's this could have, and I'm not blaming the current administration or anything more than anybody else, but I think we all agree that there's a lot of this that could have been handled differently, better. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And Mark asked if we would talk politics, and we usually don't, but I'm going to touch on it for a second. That's
first, I want to know if he's heard about the antibody test.
Well, have you heard about a different test there for the antibodies opposed to just the swab in the nose?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Have you heard about testing for the antibodies, the $200 test? in California?
Yeah, they've been talking about that.
Okay.
So it is available, or it's just not very prevalent?
Yeah, seven different carriers or something like that.
Mm. So I just feel like now is the time that politically, the Democrats are running with their agenda, the Republicans are running with their agenda, and it's just going to be a shit show.
They don't care about us.
It's a shit show.
Yeah.
And
that segue into where, like, what I want to say, like, on my last piece of it, I just want people, no matter what your thought is on it, whether you think this is a hoax and there's no pandemic, whether you think the government's trying to do whatever they're going to do, or you think the mark of the beast is coming inside the vaccine, or if you believe in staying home and everything else, I just want everybody, I just want to remind people that we need to not be hateful and idiots to each other and try and do harm to each other. Mm-hmm. Like, we got to get through this thing. You're entitled to your beliefs. I'm not trying to be, when I talk about what I think and what I don't think, like, I'm not mad at you for thinking something as long as it doesn't harm, and there's principle behind whether you think it's harming or not harming, but you're allowed to think what you want to. And that's part of the American way. I just want to remind people, man, that we are all Americans, and to take, like, the end of the day, we want everybody to be safe. We just don't all agree on how to get to that point yet. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because even the people who are extreme on each side, people who want to just stay barricaded in their house, they want to be safe. The people who want to go back to work tomorrow, it's not that they don't want to be safe. They just want to be able to provide. They don't want their, whether it be they don't want their constitutional rights infringed on as they believe is happening, or they want to be able to provide and take care of their family. I just want people to just remember that, like I said, we're all Americans. We just don't agree on how to get through this right now, and to not to be taking it out on people and things of that nature.
Be respectful and open-minded
as best as we can, and that's difficult because, like we said, we don't know how to be grown-ups. So, Marc,
Speak
before
for yourself.
You was the one over here cussing at Marc on the phone. So.
Not at Marc.
Marc, before we go, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about your podcast, man.
So I've got a podcast, and first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me as a special guest today. I appreciate it. So for those of you who like NASCAR, especially the people out there in Florida, North Carolina, that down in that area, myself and my co-host, we have a podcast called the Asphalt Junkies Podcast, where we just talk about NASCAR and what's going on in the world of NASCAR. Unfortunately, they're not racing at the at the stadiums and NASCAR places. They're doing it all on the iRacing, which is actually kind of cool. But you can follow us on Twitter at Asphalt Junkies _ Instagram at Asphalt Junkies Podcast _ and on Facebook at Asphalt Junkies.
Everybody go check them out. We know we got some NASCAR fans out there. Well, you guys haven't been recording. Have you been doing any with the virtual stuff, like discussing any of that?
Yes and no. My co-host Ashley, he's essential, so he's actually working a lot. He's a truck driver, so he's bringing us all the toilet paper and other stuff that we need.
Thanks to him.
So it's kind of hard. So we'll probably try to do something. I don't know. I'll get with him later on today. I don't think he's working on a Sunday, so he can come from his studio. I'll get with my studio. We got a lot to talk about. Trust me. A lot of NASCAR stuff going on.
It's I've on a lot of different podcast groups, and it's amazing how many podcast numbers have really declined during this, where I thought they would have been going up during this time, where people had more time on their hands to just kind of escape and listen to stuff. But across the board, from what I've been seeing, podcast numbers have been down. So that's why it's important now to do different things, and like you've seen us on IG doing some things and just trying to get stuff out there. And you guys keep doing it, and we'll definitely check it out and have you on the show anytime. And we could come on your show, but I don't know, Sin, you might have to be the NASCAR guy, and that's
Jay doesn't understand it.
Right, I don't discriminate, so you guys are more than welcome to come on the show anytime.
We appreciate you, Marc. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Nice talking with you.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Hey, you guys be safe out there.
You too, Mark.
Stay healthy.
And everybody be safe.
Everybody be safe. Wash your hands. Move different. This is Carolina Don Show.
Yeah, Carolina Sun.